story that I've been following for a while. The fact that a lot of people still have not gotten stimulus checks, and many of those people are actually homeless. And it doesn't really matter how you feel about the stimulus checks in particular. What matters is that people out there haven't gotten them yet, and many people out there who need them the most haven't gotten them. So some of those people who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own because the government shut down the economy, and because the government shuts down businesses, saying that businesses who didn't pay them enough or didn't give them enough backroom donations, they got shut down. While businesses like Walmart, the big businesses like the defense contractors like Boeing and Raytheon, they were allowed to operate as business as usual. You've had these defense companies who've been getting billions of dollars of the American taxpayers' dollar, while they are being allowed to operate carte blanche, and creating weapons that kill and destroy people. But businesses who are local mom and pop shops who basically employ people who are local to the community, they had to figure shut down. So many of those people ended up homeless. And what happens when they end up homeless? Well, I can tell you for a fact, after much delay with my own stimulus, that many of those people still haven't gotten a stimulus check. So that's the story that I want to cover today. Seattle nonprofit Mary's Place helps unhoused families get stimulus checks. We know this is not going to pull people out of poverty, but it's going to help them for today and tomorrow. Right, because again, pulling people out of poverty takes a lot of effort. But I do appreciate these people actually trying to help in some way. This is goodwill. They are not getting any part of this freaking stimulus. I know about this nonprofit. They're doing God's work. Whatever God you worship, they're doing God's work. And that's why I want to give them a big shout out, because as soon as I saw that name, I just knew, they were up to something good. As many Americans wait for their stimulus payments to appear in their bank accounts, nonprofits are helping those experiencing homelessness to receive checks. Kara Bovey and her family are facing tough times. Not having an income, we weren't able to pay for gas, Bovey said. Her husband lost his job recently, and expenses piled up, especially with 5 children. Wow. So again, her husband, she was probably a stay-at-home mom, just classic things that happen all the time. Even if you don't agree with that, still, she was a stay-at-home mom. They were family, and her husband lost his job, And so when you don't have an income that's coming in, and again, read this part here. Their youngest is 4 months old, man. You just lost your job and you got a 4-month-old baby. Man, that's got to be rough. The family was bolstered by news of a third stimulus payment, but worries set in trying to figure out how to track down their money. So again, during people's most desperate time, people like this, families like these people who have done nothing wrong. They're good people, American citizens. They got 5 children, man. Husband and wife, they're just trying to make it. And the government has been charging that man taxes. Taxes. The average congressman and U.S. senator makes over $170,000 a year. With travel expenses, food, all that paid. Jets, all that stuff. Helicopters, all that stuff. Chauffeurs, security, freaking detail, healthcare. They get pensions, they get all that stuff. But this family who has been paying for all this stuff, Americans just like Kara Bovey and her freaking husband, paying for these bastards in public office. Now when these families need their help the most, what do? They delay the freaking stimulus. They delay the stimulus, and people like this might need a 4th or 5th one. They might need a fourth or freaking 5th one. Coming from the street, we don't really have people that are, in that mindset of being able to work with electronics or even getting something like that set up, Bovey said. Seattle nonprofit Mary's Place has stepped in to help guests navigate the first, second, and third stimulus check rollout. We are right there beside them and working with them to change their addresses. Then for many of them, we'll help them track down those stimulus checks for those that are in shelter currently with us, said Marty Hartman, executive director of Mary's Place. Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing what they're doing. So what they're doing is they're taking people into the homeless shelter and allowing them to use that shelter as an actual address so that they can get that mail there, or using an alternate address, a place that you can obviously trust, and trying to get people stimulus, because a lot of those people don't have bank accounts and they don't have debit cards, but they can still receive physical checks. So if you can still receive a physical check, then you're gonna need somewhere to mail it. And if you're homeless, you probably don't have a freaking like the PO box. So what they're doing is absolutely necessary. A nonprofit helps women, children, and families transition out of homelessness. Hartman said the process is providing some temporary relief. That is, I mean, how can you criticize this, man? These are the organizations that I want the billions of dollars to go to. These are the organizations that I want my tax dollars to freaking go to. A nonprofit who is a non-government actor who is doing stuff like this, trying to help families, especially during a time of crisis for many of these families. Amazing work. Amazing work. For some, it is paying that down payment to get into an apartment and a new housing solution. We know that it's not going to pull some out of poverty, but it's going to help them for today and tomorrow, Hartman said. Bovee said she and her husband have now been able to save for their first and last month's rent and purchase a car. A huge weight off of our chests on having to save that money up. So that's really going to help. That's really going to help us get on our feet. Because 4-bedroom houses aren't cheap nowadays. So I think that has really saved us, I should say. Bovee said. That's an incredible story. So Mary's Place, I salute you. And I really do appreciate the organizations that help people during this time, because the government damn sure isn't gonna fucking do it, right? The government doesn't give a shit about any of these people. The government would just rather just let these people goddamn burn. They couldn't give a shit. Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Josh Hawley, all these bastards, man, they couldn't give a damn. Joe Biden too, and Kamala, they couldn't give a damn. But organizations like this, who actually go into the local communities, and they actually get to actually know people. They get to know their struggles, and therefore they know what the community needs versus a bunch of government bureaucrats.